Hey everyone, and welcome to another Marks & Crafts unboxing and review. Today I'll be unboxing the Pop-Up Parade Junko Enoshima and Monokuma. Now this is probably one of the bigger Pop-Up Parade boxes that I've looked at, mainly because you sort of get two figures in the set, and so the box sort of reflects that. From what I can see from the box, it does look pretty good. It's quite clean. Now, just from quick first impressions of pulling it out, it seems like a much more consistent paint job than some of the other pop-up parades I've looked at. So one of the things I like is there's a mix of soft and hard plastic, so her shoelaces are soft, so taking it out of the box or like bending and things like that won't break it, and her tie is also soft. And I could be wrong, but some of her hair feels a little bit soft as well. Yeah, Monokuma looks pretty good. I am, however, not a fan of sort of the inconsistent cover of the paint on this. I don't know if it shows that well, but if you can sort of pinpoint where the shadows are falling on this figure, you can see it's not like clean. It's casting all these sort of awkward shadows on it, which sort of shows that the paint's a little bit like splotchy and things like that. It's not one sort of like clean coat. Now I've got it all set up, and it's a fairly dynamic pose for Pop-Up Parade. Like it is dynamic, and it isn't. It's that sort of like thing that Studio Trigger does with the folded arms dynamic pose, where it's like nothing's happening, but it does look really cool, like something is going on, but not really. But it's also a very standard pose for Junko, and I do like the sort of mirrored effect of Monokuma doing the same pose, as, spoiler alert, they're pretty much the same person, because one's being controlled by the other. Now, while it is pretty aesthetically Danganronpa in terms of the pose and stuff like that, and we will get into this a bit more when I do a close-up, I don't think that her face really suits the Danganronpa style. Like, it looks nice, but I don't get that very unique art style from it, because Danganronpa has a very unique style to it, and a lot of that comes down to how they structure their faces. So moving a bit closer, so we'll talk about it now. It is a nice face, and I do definitely think it looks like Junko and everything like that, but I don't think it sort of matches the Danganronpa art style, at least from the games. It's probably a little more akin to the anime series, because that didn't really capture that same style either, but it did have a unique style all its own, which is a bit of a shame, because like the way characters' faces are structured, the way they're coloured, the way their eyes look, it's a very, very unique and very striking art style, so it's a bit of a shame we can't get that in a figure, or at least in this Pop-Up Parade. When you do get close, you can see some areas, like this little black line on the side of her shirt where it meets her jacket. I don't know if that's a paint error or not, it's just a little bit of a weird black line. But definitely where her jacket meets her sort of like undershirt or bra bit, there's some white splotches, which is kind of obvious and a bit of a shame. It doesn't really show in the video, but like right on top of her cleavage, where the matte finish of the skin is, there's also like a very high gloss bit right in her cleavage, and it looks really weird. Like, I'm guessing it's a paint error, but it's kind of weird. I'll move down to her legs, and like I mentioned before, I do like that some bits are detailed differently, like the soft plastic on the shoelaces. But one thing I didn't mention is the really cool high gloss style of her boots, and it makes it look like a proper like leather boot, and contrasted with the matte of her skin and the other textures for her outfit. And you can see again the Monokuma looks good from a distance. There's not really like, I feel like it would be hard to screw up a Monokuma, but I feel like if you saw a screwed up Monokuma, you'd know. I've noticed just generally, like with Pop-Up Parades, it seems like the thing that's just a small general inconsistency with all of them. Like there's just always something just a little bit off. with all of them. And then none of them are ever deal breakers, but it's just a bit of a shame as something that's meant to be the gateway between prize figure and scale, that you keep coming across so many errors that would be synonymous with prize figures. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things of there's not a lot of Danganronpa figures out there, and not a lot of affordable Danganronpa figures out there. Most of the stuff is either very expensive, the re-releases are sold out, they're all pre-owned, or things like that. So it's almost down to the point of like, you'll take what you can get, and this fills that void quite well, especially since there will be 3 more figures in this line, at least 3 more figures in this line. And so it sort of gives hope for the fandom. And it is cool, like at the end of the day, it's still a good figure for the price point. And it's nice to see merch for a franchise like this that isn't going to break the bank or isn't too hard to find. Like all pop-up parades so far, it seems like it has its issues, but it's not really going to bother anyone on a shelf. It's always like just the things when you get in close and look at it, and if you're a stickler for details, yes, it might be a deal breaker, but when all's said and done, it is a cheap figure. And it looks better than the average prize figure, and character diversity, because Danganronpa doesn't get that much stuff anyway, and doesn't get that much affordable stuff. So I think it fits right into the niche, even if it does have its issues. Like I've said in my other videos, still not a huge fan of the base, but I feel like because a lot of that real estate is being used up with this figure, it doesn't bother me nearly as much. So yeah, we'll see how the other Danganronpa figures go with the base as well, because some pop-up parades join together and stuff like that. This one probably won't, but aesthetically having them all lined up, there might be something to it. But still not a huge fan of the hexagon base. I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way. I know it's a tiny thing, but it's just weird. But otherwise, yes, it's fine. It's a perfectly fine figure, especially again because there's not a lot of Danganronpa stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you all next time.